The Cold War's Cosmic Battlefield. Welcome to Extraterrestrial Mystery, where we dive into the unknown, the hidden, and the cosmic secrets that lurk beyond our world. Today, we're embarking on a journey to uncover the moon's darkest secrets, tales of ambition, rivalry, and plans so audacious they could have reshaped history. Imagine a time when the moon wasn't just a beacon of wonder in the night sky, but a battleground for global supremacy. During the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union didn't just race to plant flags on lunar soil. They dreamed of bases, rovers, and even cataclysmic explosions that could have changed the cosmos forever. Buckle up, because this is a story of human ambition, technological marvels, and secrets buried under lunar dust. Let's set the stage. It's the 1950s, and the world is gripped by the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union are locked in a high-stakes game of one-upmanship. Nuclear arsenals are growing, tensions are soaring, and a new frontier emerges: space. The space race wasn't just about science. It was about power, prestige, and proving whose ideology would dominate the stars. In 1957, the Soviets shocked the world with Sputnik 1, the first satellite to orbit Earth. Its faint beeps echoed through radios worldwide, a chilling reminder that the USSR had taken the lead. American morale plummeted. President Dwight Eisenhower, stunned by this blow, knew the U.S. had to respond. The creation of NASA in 1958 was America's answer. Replacing the outdated National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NASA was tasked with catching up to the Soviets. Meanwhile, across the Iron Curtain, the Soviet space program was charging forward, fueled by brilliant minds like Sergei Korolev, the architect of their cosmic triumphs. The moon became the ultimate prize, a symbol of technological supremacy. Both nations dreamed not just of landing on the lunar surface, but of claiming it, controlling it, and turning it into a strategic outpost. But what if I told you these dreams went far beyond a simple moonwalk? Hidden in classified files, both superpowers hatched plans that sound like science fiction: self-sufficient lunar bases, robotic explorers, and even a plot to detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon's surface. Yes, you heard that right, a plan to blow up the moon. These were not the musings of mad scientists, but the calculated ambitions of governments racing to outdo each other. In this video, we'll uncover the Soviet Union's secret Zvezda moon base, the U.S. Air Force's Lunex project, and the chilling Project A119 that could have erased the moon from our skies. Let's start with the Soviets. Emboldened by Sputnik's success, they set their sights on something far grander than satellites. By 1962, they launched a top-secret project codenamed Zvezda, meaning star in Russian. Its goal: to establish a self-sufficient lunar base before the Americans could even dream of it. This wasn't just about planting a flag. It was about dominating the moon, creating a hidden fortress half buried under lunar regolith to shield it from meteorites and radiation. Picture this: a network of habitation modules equipped with wheeled chassis to move across the moon's surface, evading detection. It was a plan so bold it could have rewritten the space race. But ambition alone wasn't enough. The Soviets pinned their hopes on the N-1 rocket, a behemoth designed to carry Zvezda's components to the moon. This rocket was their key to lunar dominance, but it was plagued by catastrophic failures. Explosion after explosion rocked their launch sites, and by 1974, the N-1 program was in shambles. Without a reliable rocket, Zvezda remained a dream, its blueprints gathering dust. Yet even as the N-1 faltered, a visionary engineer stepped forward with a new plan, one that would keep the Soviet lunar dream alive. Who was this engineer, and what was his solution? We'll find out soon, but first, let's cross the Atlantic to see what the Americans were plotting.
Part 2. America's Lunar Ambitions. As the Soviets dreamed of their lunar fortress, the United States was not standing idle. The launch of Sputnik had lit a fire under the American space program, and the creation of NASA was just the beginning. Behind closed doors, the U.S. military was crafting its own cosmic plans, driven by the fear that the Soviets could turn the moon into a strategic stronghold. Enter Project Horizon, a classified U.S. Army initiative to build a lunar military outpost. This wasn't about exploration, it was about control, surveillance, and ensuring the moon didn't become a Soviet staging ground. Project Horizon was born in 1959, spearheaded by Wernher von Braun, the German rocket scientist who had designed the V-2 rocket during World War II and now led America's space efforts. The plan was staggering. A lunar base costing $6 billion, operational by 1986, housing 12 soldiers to monitor Earth and deter Soviet advances. The base would be resupplied by the Saturn I and Saturn II rockets, requiring over 250 tons of materials to construct. Buried partially under lunar soil for protection, it would be a fortress in the stars, a symbol of American dominance. But Project Horizon was shrouded in secrecy. Only a select few knew its true purpose. When John F. Kennedy became president in 1961, he shifted focus to the Apollo program, publicly committing to landing a man on the moon within the decade. This civilian mission captured the world's imagination, but the military's lunar ambitions didn't vanish, they went underground, quite literally. The U.S. Air Force had its own secret plan, codenamed Lunex, which we'll explore later. For now, let's return to the Soviet side, where their lunar dreams were taking shape under the brilliant mind of Sergei Korolev. Korolev, the mastermind behind Sputnik and Yuri Gagarin's historic 1961 orbit, was no stranger to bold ideas. In 1962, inspired by Gagarin's success, he began sketching plans for a Soviet lunar base. He consulted with scientists, architects, and even biologists to ensure the base could sustain life in the moon's harsh environment. By 1967, the KBOM Design Bureau, under Korolev's guidance, was deep into planning. They envisioned a base built in 3 phases, starting with a crew of 4 and expanding to 12. It would feature a common area, an astronomy lab, a power supply center, a vehicle depot, and even a gym and kitchen, all buried under layers of regolith for protection. The KBOM Bureau's 1969 report, titled Principles of the Construction of Long-Functioning Lunar Settlements, was a masterpiece of engineering foresight. The base's total mass was estimated at 52,000 kilograms, to be delivered by the N-1 rocket. They even built a full-scale mock-up of a lunar module to test technologies. But the N-1's repeated failures were a death knell. By 1974, the program was halted, leaving the Soviet lunar base as a tantalizing what-if. Yet hope wasn't lost. A new leader, Valentin Glushko, took the reins at Energia, the Soviet spacecraft manufacturer, and proposed a revised plan, Zvezda 2.0. Part 2. America's Lunar Ambitions. As the Soviets dreamed of their lunar fortress, the United States was not standing idle. The launch of Sputnik had lit a fire under the American space program, and the creation of NASA was just the beginning. Behind closed doors, the U.S. military was crafting its own cosmic plans, driven by the fear that the Soviets could turn the moon into a strategic stronghold. Enter Project Horizon, a classified U.S. Army initiative to build a lunar military outpost. This wasn't about exploration, it was about control, surveillance, and ensuring the moon didn't become a Soviet staging ground. Project Horizon was born in 1959, spearheaded by Werner von Braun, the German rocket scientist who had designed the V-2 rocket during World War II and now led America's space efforts. The plan was staggering. A lunar base costing $6 billion, operational by 1986, housing 12 soldiers to monitor Earth and deter Soviet advances. The base would be resupplied by the Saturn I and Saturn II rockets, requiring over 250 tons of materials to construct. Buried partially under lunar soil for protection, it would be a fortress in the stars, a symbol of American dominance. But Project Horizon was shrouded in secrecy. Only a select few knew its true purpose. When John F. Kennedy became president in 1961, he shifted focus to the Apollo program, publicly committing to landing a man on the moon within the decade. This civilian mission captured the world's imagination, but the military's lunar ambitions didn't vanish. They went underground, quite literally. The U.S. Air Force had its own secret plan, codenamed Lunex, which we'll explore later. For now, let's return to the Soviet side, where their lunar dreams were taking shape under the brilliant mind of Sergei Korolev. Korolev, the mastermind behind Sputnik and Yuri Gagarin's historic 1961 orbit, was no stranger to bold ideas. In 1962, inspired by Gagarin's success, he began sketching plans for a Soviet lunar base. He consulted with scientists, architects, and even biologists to ensure the base could sustain life in the moon's harsh environment. By 1967, the KBOM Design Bureau, under Korolev's guidance, was deep into planning. They envisioned a base built in 3 phases, starting with a crew of 4 and expanding to 12. It would feature a common area, an astronomy lab, a power supply center, a vehicle depot, and even a gym and kitchen, all buried under layers of regolith for protection. The KBOM Bureau's 1969 report, titled Principles of the Construction of Long-Functioning Lunar Settlements, was a masterpiece of engineering foresight. The base's total mass was estimated at 52,000 kilograms, to be delivered by the N-1 rocket. They even built a full-scale mock-up of a lunar module to test technologies. But the N-1's repeated failures were a death knell. By 1974, the program was halted, leaving the Soviet lunar base as a tantalizing what-if. Yet hope wasn't lost. A new leader, Valentin Glushko, took the reins at Energia, the Soviet spacecraft manufacturer, and proposed a revised plan, Zvezda 2.0.
Lunokhod's lunar legacy. Let's dive deeper into the Lunokhod program, a testament to Soviet ingenuity. Lunokhod 1 wasn't just a rover, it was a pioneer, the first remote-controlled robot to explore another celestial body. Launched on November 10, 1970, from Kazakhstan's Baikonur Cosmodrome, it landed in the moon's Mare Imbrium, the Sea of Rains, on November 17. Controlled by a 5-man team in Moscow, it moved cautiously, its 8 wheels navigating the moon's rocky terrain. Equipped with cameras, a cosmic ray detector, an X-ray spectrometer, and a French-made laser reflector, it was a scientific marvel. The rover's design was ingenious. A hermetically sealed body filled with nitrogen, a hinged lid that opened to charge solar panels by day, and a polonium-210 heater to survive the lunar night's minus 150 degrees temperatures. It sent back 20,000 images and 200 high-fidelity panoramas, offering unprecedented insights into the moon's soil and surface. Defying its 3 lunar day lifespan, it operated for 11 lunar days, nearly a year, before contact was lost on September 14, 1971, the anniversary of Sputnik 1. Decades later, in 2010, NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter pinpointed Lunokhod 1's location. Scientists at Apache Point Observatory fired laser pulses and were stunned when the rover's retroreflectors sent back a clear signal. Tom Murphy, leading the research, said, "We got about 2,000 photons from Lunokhod 1 on our first try.
After 40 years of silence, this rover has a lot to say. This rediscovery allowed scientists to refine lunar laser ranging, testing Einstein's theory of general relativity by measuring the moon's orbit with unprecedented precision. Lunokhod 2 followed in 1973, traveling 37 kilometers and tripling its predecessor's range. These rovers proved the Soviets could compete on the lunar stage, even without human landings. But while Lunokhod explored the moon's surface, the U.S.
was plotting something far more audacious, a plan to claim the moon as a military stronghold. Zvezda Reborn and the Vulcan rocket. Valentin Glushko was a man of vision, undeterred by the N-1's failures. In 1974, he unveiled a new proposal for the Zvezda lunar base to be delivered by the Vulcan heavy-lift rocket, a machine capable of carrying 230 tons to low Earth orbit, 60 tons to lunar orbit, and 22 tons to the moon's surface. This was no small feat. The Vulcan was designed to ferry the Lunar Expeditionary Complex, LEK, a sophisticated system including a landing stage, and ascent stage, and a re-entry stage for returning to Earth. The LEK was a marvel of engineering, a 31-ton complex with a 20-ton habitation and laboratory module. Standing 9 meters tall and over 8 meters wide, it offered 160 cubic meters of space, with 25 cubic meters for living quarters and 25 for scientific research. Powered by solar panels and a nuclear unit, it was designed to sustain life in the moon's unforgiving environment. A secondary 15-ton laboratory module included biotechnology and physics labs, plus an oxygen generating facility. And then there was the Luna rover, an 8-ton vehicle for 2 cosmonauts capable of traveling 200 kilometers at 5 kilometers per hour across the lunar surface. The plan was meticulous. Before construction, an unmanned spacecraft would map the lunar terrain. The base would be built in 3 phases, with 5 Vulcan launches delivering equipment and materials. The final phase, 2 months after the second, would complete the laboratory setup. But here's where the dream faltered. The Soviet government, unimpressed by Glushko's ambitious proposal, saw no need for a lunar base after the U.S. Apollo missions landed men on the moon without establishing bases. The estimated cost, $80 billion in 1980s currency, was deemed too steep. By the mid-1970s, the Soviets shifted focus to mimicking the American space shuttle, and Zvezda was shelved. But the Soviet lunar legacy wasn't entirely lost. Their Nuked program, designed to support human missions, produced the first remote-controlled rovers to roam the moon. Lunokhod 1, launched in 1970 aboard Luna 17, was a triumph. This robotic explorer, nicknamed the Moonwalker, traveled 10.5 kilometers, sent back 20,000 images, and conducted over 500 soil tests. Designed to last 90 Earth days, it operated for nearly a year before losing contact in 1971. Then, in 2010, a shocking discovery. NASA and French scientists detected a powerful signal from Lunokhod 1's retroreflector, proving this Cold War relic was still talking after 40 years of silence.
Project A119, blowing up the moon. Now, brace yourselves for the most shocking chapter of this lunar saga. Project A119, the U.S. Air Force's plan to detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon. Yes, you heard that right. In the late 1950s, as the Soviets celebrated Sputnik's success, the U.S. was desperate to reclaim its technological edge. What better way than a spectacle visible to the entire world, a mushroom cloud on the moon's surface? Conceived in 1958, Project A119 was led by Dr. Leonard Reifel, a respected scientist who worked with Nobel laureate Enrico Fermi. The Air Force's goal was twofold: to study the moon's surface through the explosion's effects and to deliver a psychological blow to the Soviets. The plan called for an atomic bomb, at least as powerful as the one dropped on Hiroshima, to be launched 238,000 miles to the moon and detonated on impact. A hydrogen bomb was ruled out due to its weight, but the chosen warhead would create a massive dust cloud, illuminated by the sun on the moon's dark side. The project recruited top minds, including Dutch astronomer Gerard Cooper and young graduate Carl Sagan, tasked with modeling the dust cloud's expansion. Their 1959 report, a study of lunar research flights, spanned nearly 300 pages, analyzing the scientific, military, and political implications. The explosion would reveal lunar secrets while signaling U.S. dominance. But risks loomed large. A failed launch could scatter radioactive debris, and public backlash might brand the act as militaristic rather than scientific. By 1960, Project A119 was scrapped, likely due to these uncertainties and fears of global outrage. Dr. Reifel later admitted, had the project been made public, there would have been an outcry. The 1963 Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty and the 1967 UN Outer Space Treaty further ensured such plans would never resurface. Yet the idea of bombing the moon lingered in classified files until the 1990s, when biographer Kay Davidson uncovered it while researching Carl Sagan's life.
Part 7. The Space Race's Turning Point. By the late 1960s, the space race reached its climax. The Soviet N-1 rocket's failures and the cancellation of their manned lunar program left the door open for the U.S. to take the lead. On July 20, 1969, Apollo 11 made history as Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon, declaring, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." The U.S. was crowned the space race's victor, and the moon became a symbol of American triumph. But the Soviets didn't surrender entirely. Their Lunokhod program continued to explore the moon robotically, proving their technological prowess. Meanwhile, the U.S. abandoned military lunar plans like Lunex and Project Horizon, focusing instead on Apollo's scientific legacy. The moon, once a potential battlefield, became a beacon of human achievement. Yet the secrets of these abandoned projects, Zvezda, Lunex, and A119, remained hidden, whispering of a time when the moon was more than a destination, it was a prize in a cosmic chess game. The rediscovery of Lunokhod 1 in 2010 reminded us how close these dreams came to reality. Its laser reflector, still active after decades, allowed scientists to test Einstein's theories, bridging the Cold War's ambitions with modern science. The moon, scarred by human ambition, holds secrets that continue to captivate us.
The moon's enduring mysteries. The moon's story didn't end with Apollo or Lunokhod. In the late 2010s, Russia's Federal Space Agency revived plans for a lunar base, echoing the dreams of Zvezda. Meanwhile, China's Chang'e 3 mission in 2013 sent the Yutu rover to the moon, marking the first lunar landing since Lunokhod 2. Though Yutu became immobile after its second lunar night, it operated for 31 months, surpassing Lunokhod 1's record. These modern missions remind us that the moon remains a frontier of mystery and ambition. The Cold War's lunar plans, though unrealized, laid the groundwork for today's space exploration. The Zvezda base, with its buried modules and rovers, foreshadowed modular space stations like the ISS. Lunex reusable spacecraft influenced the space shuttle. Even Project A119, as outlandish as it was, pushed scientists to study the moon's composition, paving the way for Apollo's geological discoveries. But what if these plans had succeeded? Imagine a world with lunar bases, military outposts, or even a moon altered by a nuclear blast. Would the space race have escalated into a cosmic arms race? Would the moon still inspire poets and dreamers, or would it be a scarred relic of human conflict? These questions linger, urging us to explore the unknown.
Part 9. Lessons from the Lunar Race. The moon's darkest secrets reveal a truth about humanity. Our drive to explore is matched only by our ambition to dominate. The Cold War's lunar plans were born from fear and rivalry, yet they pushed technology to new heights. Sputnik sparked NASA's creation, Lunar pioneered robotic exploration, and Apollo united the world in awe. Even Project A119, though abandoned, showed how far we're willing to go to prove our might. These projects also highlight the risks of unchecked ambition. Bombing the moon could have contaminated Earth with radioactive fallout or turned the public against space exploration. The cancellation of Zvezda and Lunex spared the moon from becoming a military outpost, preserving its neutrality. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty, signed by over 100 nations, ensured space would remain a domain for peaceful exploration, a legacy we must protect. Today, as private companies and nations like China and India eye the moon, we stand at a crossroads. Will we repeat the Cold War's militaristic dreams, or will we collaborate to unlock the moon's secrets for all humanity? The rediscovery of Lunar 1 reminds us that the past still speaks, guiding us toward a future where exploration triumphs over conquest.
The moon's call to the future. As we close this journey through the moon's darkest secrets, let's reflect on what we've uncovered. The Cold War turned the moon into a stage for human ambition, where dreams of bases, rovers, and even nuclear explosions collided with the harsh realities of technology and politics. The Soviet Zvezda base, the U.S. Lunex project, and the chilling Project A119 were more than plans. They were visions of a future where the moon was humanity's next frontier. Yet the moon remains untouched by these grand schemes. Apollo 11's triumph, Luna's explorations, and modern missions like Chang'e 3 show that the moon is a place of wonder, not warfare. Its surface, etched with the footprints of astronauts and the tracks of rovers, tells a story of resilience and discovery. The rediscovery of Lunar 1 after 40 years proves that the moon holds secrets waiting to be unlocked, even decades later. At Extraterrestrial Mystery, we believe the cosmos is a canvas for curiosity. The moon, with its silent craters and hidden relics, calls us to explore, to question, and to dream. What other secrets lie buried in its dust? Are there classified files still waiting to be declassified, revealing plans even wilder than Project A119? And as humanity returns to the moon, will we build bases for science or for power? Thank you for joining us on this cosmic journey. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the moon's darkest secrets, hit that like button, subscribe to Extraterrestrial Mystery, and ring the bell for more tales from the stars. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the moon will ever host a human base, or should it remain a symbol of peace? Until next time, keep looking up and let the mysteries of the universe guide you.